Dre all day.
Now tuned into the show where you learn the discipline to show up day after day to do the work, the confidence to put yourself out there boldly and authentically, and the mental toughness to continue showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there, even when the success you've expected to achieve has yet to be achieved. And on top of all this, you get a huge dose of personal initiative, which is the go-getter energy that moves anyone out there, including yourself, especially yourself, to go and make things happen instead of waiting for things to happen. And we put all this together into one bundle, one mentality, one framework. We have codified our entire system, this entire process, and it can apply to anyone. Doesn't matter what background you're coming from. We wrote a hardcover book on the subject. We have a university with open enrollment, and you're listening to the daily masterclass that is called Work on Your Game. My name is Dre Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day, and welcome to the show. And today's topic is the stage or the audience. Pick one. And yes, you do have to make a choice. Do you want to be in the stage, or do you want to be in the audience? We talked about getting out of the crowd and onto the stage back in episode number 1332, the steps you would need to take in order to get there. Today, we're going to approach it from a different angle. But I did an article on this subject back in 2016. It might have actually been 2015, because I remember when I was getting ready to do my TED Talk on confidence, how to be confident when you're not. And I met with the organizers. This is at TEDx Coconut Grove in Miami, Florida. I met with the organizers right when they had chosen me for the talk. Actually, this wasn't in 2016. This was in 2015. I wrote that article. I met with them months before the event, and the event was in February. They were telling me they had read this article. They were talking about this article and just telling me that they liked the approach that I made, and just trying to salt my mind with some ideas for how I can make the approach for what ended up being my TED Talk. And you know, all of you know how much I talk about getting active and getting your ass in the game and doing what you need to do to put yourself out there every day. How to put yourself out there, how to show your game, how to get the opportunities to show your game. So today we're going to talk about both sides. I'm going to argue both sides of this, which is something that I'm prone to do. I'm going to argue both sides of this perspective of being on the stage and being in the audience, because neither one of them is all perfect. Neither one of them is foolproof. Neither one of them is necessarily better than the other, even though I am partial to getting out of the crowd and onto the stage. Again, I did a masterclass on it, 1332, and I'm talking about it again here today. You will be able to make your own choices based on the information I'm going to share with you here today, the perspectives I'm going to share with you here today about whether you want to be on the stage or whether you want to be in the audience. Let's get right to it. Point number one. Topic, once again, is the stage or the audience. You have to pick one. Today, I'm going to make the argument for both sides. Here are the pros of being on the stage. One of the pros of being on the stage, the biggest one, is that you get seen. When you're standing on the stage and that spotlight comes on, everybody can see you. Everybody knows who you are, at least temporarily for that moment. At least everybody can see who you are. They might not know who you are. They might be looking like, who the hell is that? But they can at least see that you're there. You have put yourself on when you're on the stage. You have put your work out there, and the world can now enjoy your work. They can enjoy your mentality. They can enjoy your framework. They can read your book. They can watch your video. They can listen to your song. They can like your photographs. Whatever it is that you put out there, now it's out there. Your work's there. The world can enjoy it. The world can benefit from it. You get the personal fulfillment of knowing that you're getting your music out of you. And what I mean by that is whatever talent, whatever abilities, whatever gift or gifts, plural, you have within you, it is your duty, I believe, to get that out of you and get it out into the world. Because otherwise, what are you having for? Why was that bestowed upon you, that talent, that gift, that ability? Why was it given to you if you were just going to keep it for yourself and not give it to anyone else? Understand that you don't lose any of it. When you share it with the rest of the world, you're sharing it. So they get to benefit from it. But at the same time, you actually get the reward, because everybody is coming back to you in order to get more of it. So you get your music out of you. You have put it out there to the world. The world gets to benefit from it. They get to see it, feel it, experience, etc. And you get attention that comes with it. And nowadays we know that we live in an attention economy. If you can't get people's attention, then there's no way that you can get them to read your book or buy your course or wear your merch or listen to your song. You have to somehow, some way get people's attention. So when you step on the stage, all of these good things come with it. So maybe that's enough to sell you on the concept of being on the stage. But these are all things that come with the fact that you have decided to get out on the stage. You're seen, your work's out, the world gets the benefit from it. You get the personal fulfillment of putting yourself out there, or you get the fulfillment. You also get the feedback, whatever that feedback happens to be, which we'll get to in a moment. You get the attention, because again, when you're on the stage is a lot smaller than the audience. And nowadays, since we're in an attention economy, now you have the number one thing that you need in order to do anything else. This is getting people's attention is the first step of selling yourself. So in the work on your game process is only 3 things you have to do. First of all, develop your game, have some actual game skill. Then you got to show your game. Then you collect the return on investment. And all of these require a process. None of these is just going to happen automatically. You do not grow and develop game automatically. You do not get seen and known. And especially in today's world and moving forward, these don't happen by themselves. And you collecting the ROI, that damn sure doesn't happen by itself. So this is about the second point. When you step on that stage, now you have people's attention. Now they're looking at you. Now you have a window, might be a large window, might be a small window. You have a window in which you can insert whatever it is you want to give to them and earn a little bit more of their attention, earn a little bit more of their time. Because if you don't have their attention and time, then there's no way you can get to the third step, which is getting the ROI. Nobody can pay you. Nobody can buy something from you if they don't even know who you are. They're not paying attention to you unless you're running some kind of internet scam or stealing people's identities, which I wouldn't suggest. So having that attention is a huge thing, and stepping on the stage is one of the quickest ways to do it. Now, actually getting on the stage, you might have to do some selling just to get there in the first place, as I've told you already. But we have a course called Sell Yourself that is available in Work on Your Game University. So let's move on to point number 2. We'll talk about the university later. Today's topic, once again, is the stage or the audience. You have to pick one. Being on the stage is not all perfect. Now, you might have thought, since somebody like myself, every day I introduce the show by talking about the confidence to put yourself out there boldly and authentically, that I would be a huge advocate for putting yourself out there boldly and authentically. And you are right. I am an advocate for it. That doesn't mean that the game is all perfect. All right. There are different sides to everything. There is no situation in life that is going to be 100% perfect. I told you in episode number 1261, every job requires a grind. There is a grind to any job that you do. There is no situation in life where things are going to go perfect. If you just do this or you choose this job, then everything's just going to be perfect and everything's going to work out. Everything in life, there's something that you got to deal with, something that you're going to have to work with, something that you're going to have to, some shit that you're going to have to deal with. I told you in episode number, what episode was that? That was episode number 1663. Choosing your favorite flavor of shit sandwich. All right, there's a shit sandwich you got to eat no matter what you do. All right, nothing's going to work out perfectly and exactly as you want it. There are maybe the benefits may outweigh the shit that you had to deal with, but there will be some shit you're going to have to deal with either way. I have an entire framework and concept called the 3rd day, which I talk about in the book, The Mirror of Motivation, which you can get for free at mirrorofmotivation.com. I also did a whole chapter on it in my book, Work on Your Game. And we got more coming about the whole concept of the 3rd day. And we talk about it again in the 30 Days of Discipline course, but you can get in Work on Your Game University. But understand that there are going to be times, even when you're a person who lives on the stage, there are going to be times when it would be a lot more comfortable to get off the stage and go sit in the audience. Or maybe you don't want too much attention at that moment, because we all have our ups and downs. We got our highlights that we want people to see, but we also got that B-roll footage that maybe we don't want that shown. But if you're going to be on the stage, sometimes people are going to see that B-roll. So understand it's not always going to be perfect. And this is leading into point number 2. There are some cons to being on the stage. So I told you the pros. Now I'm going to tell you the cons of being on the stage. The first one, scrutiny. Public scrutiny. If you look at yourself and you look at what you're doing and look at your work, all right, how would you feel if everybody in the world was just watching you right now and they had a smartphone device within arm's reach of themselves right now, and they could leave any comment and say anything that they wanted about you with complete immunity and, for the most part, anonymity and no accountability whatsoever? They could just say anything, and the only reason they're saying it is to entice an audience of people to join in the chorus or whatever it is that they said. Like, how nice do you think those people would be? This is what happens when you open yourself up to public scrutiny by stepping on the stage. That is literally what you're signing up for. Everybody will see you, and everybody can and will offer their opinions. Now, you might be thinking right now, well, Dre, I'm good with that because I have an audience and people are watching me right now and people are listening to me and looking at me and reading me and enjoying my stuff, and they're saying good things about me. So I'm good. I'd be happy if more people got to know me. Well, you need to understand something. The audience that you have is the audience that you have. Now, what if you were being scrutinized by a whole public audience of people who are not part of your audience, who aren't interested in the thing that you're offering or selling. They don't think that your music is great. They don't want to sign up for your course. Or they have something negative to say about you because of your gender, because of your age, because of your race, because of how you look, because of the clothes you have on, because of something you said on the internet 8 years ago, because of something they uncovered about you that you didn't actually do, but somebody pinned it on you. And by the time the truth has put its pants on, a lie has made its way twice around the world, and now everybody's talking about you. Do you still want that attention? So understand that when you get the scrutiny, the public scrutiny that comes with being on the stage, you got it. I heard someone once say that once you call for attention, you can't hang up the phone. Once that attention answers, you got it. It's yours now. And now you got to deal with it. So this is one of the cons of being on the stage, is that you are going to be constantly scrutinized by people who are sitting in the audience, maybe even somebody else on the stage who's just trying to knock you off your pedestal. They're going to have something to say. And the challenge, one of the challenges, maybe you see it as a benefit, who knows? But what I see as a challenge of the world that we have in today is that people can say anything they want about you, broadcast it publicly, everybody can know about it, but the person who said it faces no accountability for what they said. They can say it with complete anonymity, and you may end up hearing it or reading it or seeing it or having it relayed to you. Everybody can see you, and is there anybody listening to this who doesn't have any opinions? I thought not. Critics, people who don't like you, they don't like what you do, they don't like what you're offering, they will have their say about you. And especially if they are staunchly against what you do. And depending on what line of work you're in, you may have more staunch critics than others, depending on the line of work that you're in. Again, depending on who you are and depending on what your track record is on the internet, or at least what people find out about your track record on the internet. People will have their say about you, and there's nothing you can do to stop it. You don't have to listen to it, but it doesn't stop them from saying it. When you're on stage, everything you do at work is public knowledge, or it can be, depending on how big of a stage you'll put yourself on and how much attention you call for. Meaning, you will have people in your business even when you don't want them in your business. Now, again, if you have an audience and you think, oh, well, it'd be great if more people knew about me. That's my biggest problem, Dre. I don't have enough traffic to my website. I need more people coming into my funnel. You know what? I want more people to know about me. Well, maybe you do, until you get people knowing about you that aren't actually interested and maybe even have something negative to say towards you because of what you're doing. Now, do you still want more, you want more of those people, or you want more of a certain type of people? See, we all want more people coming to our websites and coming to our sales pages if they're the type of people who actually want to read what's on our website and buy what's on our sales page. Now, what if they hate you and they hate what you represent and they got something negative to say about what you're selling? Now, do you want more of those people? So it's not that you want more people, you want more of the right people. So you got to be careful when you call for that attention, you step on that stage, and understand when you step on the stage, you don't always control who ends up paying attention. You don't control who notices. You post a video to YouTube, of course, you want your subscribers and your audience of people who want that subject to hear it. But what if somebody who absolutely disagrees with you, or they don't like something that you said and want to take something you said out of context and use it against you? What if they decide to watch your video? You can't stop them. And now now you've gotten their attention and the attention of all the people who feel the same way they feel, which is negatively towards you. What can you do about it? Not a damn thing. But you call for that attention by publishing yourself, by putting yourself out there. Now you got to live with it. You ready for that? This is all in the game, people. You will have people in your business even when you don't want them in your business. And the bigger your name or your work becomes, there will be more and more people trying harder and harder to be in your business. Why? Because you became a person that people watch. You became a person that people in the audience can pay attention to because of the size of the stage that you're on and the size and the brightness of the spotlight that is beaming on top of you. I remember back in, I don't know what year it was. Let me see if I can Google it here. But Princess Diana, who was probably the most, I would think, probably the most famous princess that there was. Diana, Princess of Wales. She died on August 31st, 1997. And she died, from what I remember, and those of you who are Princess diehards, pardon the pun, you probably know this story a lot better than I do. But I remember she was so famous, she would be riding around in her, her chauffeured vehicles and stuff. And the paparazzi, where she was at, they would just be following her frantic. They would be following her like as if somebody would get $1 million just for getting a chance to look at her or take a picture of her or something like that. And her driver, this is how she ended up passing away. Her driver was trying frantically to get away from the paparazzi who were following her everywhere that she went. She couldn't get a moment to herself. and the car gets in an accident and she ends up losing her life. And she wasn't even 40 years old when this happened. She was born in 61 and she died in 1997. 36 years old she died in a car accident. All because the attention that she had drawn, because of the stage that she had stepped on. Now, I don't know a ton about Princess Di. I know there have been movies and documentaries made about her and everything, but looking at her Wikipedia page, it says right here in the very first paragraph, Diana's activism and glamour made her an international icon and earned her an enduring popularity as well as an unprecedented public scrutiny exacerbated by her tumultuous private life. Now, I don't know the entire story. Again, those of you who know more about it, you could do your own podcast episode about it. I'm not going to go any further than that. But the whole point is, one of the cons of the fact that she was on the stage that she was on was that everybody wanted a piece of her. And even if that piece just meant, let me snap a picture of this woman, that's the piece that I want. And her life became that. She couldn't get a moment to herself because she decided to step herself on that stage. So when you step on the stage, understand that maybe when you step on, maybe nobody even notices. Maybe nobody's in the audience when you step on the stage. Maybe you're publishing content and nobody's reading it and nobody's watching, you're not getting any likes. I understand, but understand something, that when you put yourself out there, it only takes one person to notice it to draw attention towards you. And it could be the kind of attention you want, could be the kind of attention that you don't. But understand, when you hit that publish button, this is the game that you're stepping into, whether you want to be in it or not. Point number 3. Today's topic is the pros and the cons. And we're talking the stage and the audience. You have to pick one. I'm giving you the pros and the cons of each. Let's talk about being in the audience. Now, you might think that being in the audience is all bad, that there's a problem with being in the audience, something wrong with you when you're in the audience. Well, not so fast. Let's talk about why being in the audience is actually a good thing. Because listen, every one of us is in the audience at some point. All right, right now, I'm recording my show, but right before I turn this on, I listened to 2 episodes of somebody else's show. Now, I was listening to the show that I was actually on, but the whole point is, sometimes I also listen to shows that I'm not on, and I listen to other people's material. Sometimes I'm in the audience as well as being on the stage. We're all in the audience at different points. So listen to what I'm about to tell you, some of the pros of being an audience member. One of the pros is passive. You don't have to do anything when you're in the audience. When you're on the stage, let's say you stepped on the stage and there's 200 people in the crowd, or 2,000 or 20,000 people sitting in the crowd when you step on the stage. All right, those people are waiting for you to do something. All right, do something, say something, dance, sing, make a joke, make me laugh, do something. You're standing on the stage. You obviously wanted the attention. You called for it. We answered. Now do something. Now you got our attention. What you gonna do? You have a duty to deliver something when you step on the stage because you are drawing attention. But when you're sitting in the audience, you don't have a duty to do anything. You can just sit there and do absolutely nothing. It is 100% passive to be in an audience. You get to watch and observe what other people are doing. Nobody's paying attention to you personally, and you could just relax. You don't even got to pay attention if you don't want to. You can fall asleep if you want to. You can not listen if you don't want to listen. You could mess around on your phone if you want to. Now, if you happen to be in a situation like where you're in a business meeting or you're in class at school and you're not supposed to fall asleep or not be paying attention, that's a different thing. But I'm talking in general, being an audience member, you don't have to do anything. There is no duty, there's no obligation on your head because you're an audience member. There is no criticism that you're going to receive sitting in the audience, unless maybe somebody who's on the stage might say, well, you're just sitting in the audience. Who are you to criticize me? And that ain't even really criticism because nobody knows the audience member, but everybody knows the person on the stage. So even if someone was to criticize you for being in the audience, you're not going to become famous for being in the audience. All right, there's no famous audience members, all right, but there are famous people on stage. No one will have much to say about you, which can be a good thing. I mean, sometimes in life, we don't want too much attention. Maybe, again, we're going through one of the B-roll periods of our lives as opposed to the highlight period. You might not want too much attention. You know, sometimes you got to go through that B-roll shit. You don't want everybody, you don't want that one broadcast to the world. No one will have much to say about you. You can live safely and you can live anonymously. I mean, who can be mad at that? Who could be mad at being able to live anonymously because nobody's paying attention to them? But that topic of the B-roll versus the highlight reel, you know what, we're going to do a whole episode just on that subject coming soon. I'm just writing down that note while I'm talking here. Sometimes the ideas just come to me. And when you do this enough, that's the way it works. But anyway, let's move on. Those are all the pros I can think of being in an audience, by the way. I don't have that much to add on. Let's move on to the cons of being an audience member. Today's topic, once again, is the stage or the audience. Pick one. What are some of the drawbacks of being an audience member out here? I got a few. One is the music that is within you, i.e. your talent, your gift, your skills, or your multiple gifts. And every human being on this planet, by the way, has a gift. Everybody has at least one. Many have more than that. When you sit in the audience and you stay in the audience passively watching the stage performers do their thing, but you never step on the stage yourself, whatever gift you have goes unused, ungiven, unshared, and it dies with you. In other words, you take your value to the most valuable real estate on this planet, which we talked about in episode number 468, the graveyard. It's the most valuable real estate in the world because there's so many people there who had gifts and talents that they never got out of themselves, and they died with that gift and talent still in them. That's why if you ever want to buy the most expensive real estate in the world, buy a cemetery, because that's where the most value is, metaphorically speaking. Nobody, when you're sitting in the audience, there's another con of being in the audience, no one, including you, gets to enjoy the value that you have. Nobody gets to enjoy that gift. No one gets to enjoy the talent. You don't even get to enjoy it. You had it, but you didn't do anything with it. You didn't put it out there boldly and offensively. You didn't put it out at all. So you don't get anything from it. The world doesn't get anything from it. You just completely wasted talent is what you become. A wasted gift. Because you didn't get out of the audience and onto the stage ever. Your voice, when you're sitting in the audience, gets diluted amongst all the others in the audience. So even if you're in the audience and you decide that you have something to say, the problem is nobody recognizes you as being the person who said it. You're just an audience member who said something. You're a heckler who said something. You're a person who stood up during the Q&A who had something to say. You're a person who made some noise. You're a fan. You're a person out there. You're one of the statistics. In my book, Work on Your Game, I talked about this, the story or the statistic. The people on the stage are the ones who get to tell their story. Nobody wants to hear the story of a person sitting in the audience. Why? Because who the hell cares what your story is? If your story was interesting, you wouldn't be in the audience, you'd be on the stage. So we think. And for the most part, we believe it. So when you're sitting in the audience, even if you have something to say, nobody really gives you personally credit for saying it, because who the hell are you? You're just another person sitting in the crowd. There's 3,000 people in the crowd. I mean, if you were worth anything, if you had a story to tell, you wouldn't be one of 3,000. You'd be one of one standing on the stage instead of one of 3,000 sitting in the crowd. So your voice gets diluted. Nobody really notices you or recognizes you. You're just another number. You're a statistic, another number, as opposed to a story, a person who gets to tell theirs and get everybody to pay attention to them individually. And understand that since there are a lot more people in the audience than on the stage, the audience is not the place to be if you want attention. Now, as I told you earlier, we live in an attention economy. In other words, in order for you to create the flows that you want, the revenue that you want, the ROI that you want, you must somehow, some way get somebody's attention. But if you're sitting in the crowd, attention does not accrue to you because all the attention is on the person under that spotlight standing on the stage. The audience is not the place to hang out if you're looking for attention. The audience is the place to hang out when you don't want attention, or you don't ever want anyone to notice you personally. You just want to go through life anonymously and arrive safely at death with no scrutiny, no criticism, no nothing. If that's you, well, you probably learned that before we even got to this point in the episode. That person's not listening anymore. But for the rest of you who's still listening, you're looking for attention. In this economy, the attention economy, you can't do it from the audience. Now, maybe you're in the audience right now, then I get it. And at times, we all are in the audience, but you need to start plotting for how you're going to get your ass on that stage, because otherwise nobody's ever going to know who you are. When you're sitting in the audience, you are marginalized. Again, as I said, you are a statistic. You're not a story. Your input matters less. Your personal individual input matters less since, first of all, you're one of many. So it's the consensus input that matters the most. Now, maybe if you agree with the consensus input, then I guess you can feel like you're a part of it, but it's not you personally, it's the group. It's the crowd said something. It's the crowd was booing. It's not any one person was booing. It's the crowd was booing. And you are the crowd, or you are the statistic. Your input matters less because you haven't risked anything in order to offer it. The person on the stage, when they offer their opinion, it matters a whole lot more what they have to say than what the person in the audience has to say as an opinion. Even if the person in the audience has a more well thought out, well fleshed out opinion, what the person on the stage says matters a lot more. Why? Because the person on the stage is on the stage. You got to take a risk to step on the stage. I already told you what the risks are. It takes no risk to offer something from the audience. Even if what you offered is amazing, or you think is amazing, or maybe your friends co-sign, other audience members co-sign is amazing, none of you were able to get yourselves on that stage. Maybe you weren't able to, maybe you were afraid to, maybe you were scared to, maybe you didn't know about it, but for whatever reason, we don't value what an audience member says the same way we value what a person on stage says. Even if we agree with the audience member and disagree with the person on stage, we will talk more about what the person on stage did than what the person in the audience did, simply because of the positions which each occupies. And everyone knows this. Inherently, we understand this unconsciously, if not consciously. We don't listen as much as we do. We don't listen as much to an audience person as we do a stage person, as I just said. This is a self-conversation that we have. Now, and another thing about being an audience, another con of being an audience, is it sucks to be an audience member when you believe you should be on stage. Any of you ever had that feeling? I talked about this dealing with the AWOL effect, episode number 1184. Imposter syndrome is when your performance or your results are better than what you think you are. Like you're making $1 million, but you think you're only worth 500,000, so you kind of feel like an imposter. Somebody's gonna find me out and take that other 500,000 away from me. The AWOL effect is when you feel like you should be making $1 million, but you're only making 500,000. You're like, all right, why the hell am I only doing half of what I think I'm capable of? That's what happens when you are a person sitting in the audience, but you believe you should be on the stage. You experience the AWOL effect. In episode number 1184, I told you how to deal with the AWOL effect. I'm basically giving you the whole game. I mean, as a side note, in case any of you didn't notice. All that, we're not done here. The problem is, many people who choose to sit in the audience in life, I just told you, it sucks to be in the audience when you feel like you should be on stage. Any of you feel like that right now? There's a reason I did an episode on that, because I know. You feel like you should be being seen by more people than actually seeing you right now, and heard and known by more people that actually know you right now, and it's pissing you off, or it's frustrating you, or you keep working but you're not quite getting the result that you want. I get it. Many people who choose to sit in the audience rationalize the fact that they're sitting in the audience as if they never wanted to be on the stage, when a lot of them are lying. Many of the loudest critics that you will hear from the audience are people who would prefer to be on the stage. Emotionally, they know they want to be on the stage. Subconsciously, they understand it. They might even consciously understand it. But because they had some fear that kept them from putting themselves out there boldly and authentically, they choose to sit in the audience, come up with great logical, conscious rationalizations for why they sit in the audience, and then they're the loudest critics sitting in the seats. Now, who's telling you the truth and who's rationalizing about why they're sitting in the audience? We don't know. You never know. Now, this is what I just gave you as my theory, my perspective on it. But let me tell you something that is true. Something we know for sure. You know. If you're the person sitting in the audience saying that you never wanted to be on stage, that's why you're not on the stage. You know that you want to be on stage, but you have chosen to rationalize being in the audience. Nobody else can 100% diagnose. We can't read other people's minds. But you know, you can read your own mind. You know if you want to be on that stage, but you keep sitting in the audience. You know that you're dealing with that, maybe a little bit of AWOL effect, but you wouldn't call it that because you would never admit that you want to do more than what you're actually doing right now. And those who are willing to admit it, then we can go to work on it. If you're not willing to come to terms with it, how you feel yourself, then what can we do? The episode we just talked about dealing with anxiety, I told you. Like, you got to at least be honest with yourself about where you're at before you can be honest with anybody else. And that's what matters. Point number 5. Today's topic, once again, is the stage or the audience. Yes, you must pick one. Number 5 is this. Here's the verdict of all this. I did not create this masterclass to make a value judgment on whether either one of these is right or wrong. I'm just presenting the pros and cons of each for you to think about if you are considering making alterations to your current status. Or to, let's just call it alterations. That's good enough. I think I said that perfectly. The game is out there, ladies and gentlemen. The question is, what role you're choosing to play in the game. And understand that if you can hear my voice right now, you are in the game. Now, maybe you're in the game as a spectator. Maybe you're in the game as a bench warmer. Maybe you're in the game as a full-time player. Maybe you're a superstar. Maybe you're a role player. Who knows? But everybody's in the game one way or another. The question is, are you playing or are you getting played? Are you choosing to play in the game or are you choosing not to play in the game? Are you participating in the game or are you sitting on the bench? Are you scoring points or are you just running up and down the court, not really having any effect? It is always your choice what role you want to play in the game. The first step is recognizing that you're in one, and you have to choose what role. And the roles are, as we recap today's class, the stage or the audience. Pick one. Again, I did an article on this about 5-6 years ago, but today I'm talking both sides of each of these. Number one, pros of being on the stage. You get seen, you put your work out there, you get your personal fulfillment and knowing that you put your music out into the world, whether people like it or not, you get attention, and we are in an attention economy. So that's an important thing. You must step on stage to get attention. Number two, the cons of the stage is scrutiny. Everybody sees you, people have opinions, critics, people who don't like you, people who don't like your offer, people who just feel they got something to say about you and you can't stop them from saying it. Everything you do is public, at least your work, and maybe your life becomes public depending on how big of a stage you're standing on. The bigger you come, the more people will try to be in your business even when you don't want them to be. Number three, the pros of the audience. It's passive. You get to watch and observe. Nobody's paying attention to you. You will not be criticized. Nobody will have much to say about you. You can live safely and anonymously. You could die the same way. And number four, the cons of the audience. Your music is left in you, which means you take your values to the most valuable real estate on earth. We talked about in episode 484, which is the graveyard, the cemetery. Nobody gets to enjoy it, not even you. Your voice is diluted amongst all the others in the audience, and there are a lot more in the audience than there are on stage. So this is not the place to be if you want attention. All right, if you want people to pay attention to you, you must step on the stage. Problem is, many people rationalize sitting in the audience because they do not have the heart, they don't have the courage, they don't have the confidence to put themselves out there on the stage. So they come up with a logical, reasonable explanation for their emotional decision of not stepping on the stage. If you have this problem, I would suggest you read my book called The Super You, which is about unlocking and living with your highest level of confidence, which you can get when you get your free copy of The Mirror of Motivation at mirrorofmotivation.com. Just check the box, get the bulletproof bundle. Point number 5. The verdict is this. I'm not making a value judgment on whether either one of these is right or wrong. You choose your role in life. You are the one who has to live it, not me. I'm presenting the pros and the cons of each for you to think about if you are considering making alterations to your current status. Understand that the game is out there. You are in the game, whether you know it or not, whether you want to participate or not, whether you want to take a shot or not. But understand, you always have to choose whether you're going to play a role or whether you're going to play at all. It is always your choice. You can make a different choice anytime that you want to. And when you're ready to really step into that game, develop your game fully, whatever that game is going to be, show your game to the world, put yourself out there boldly and authentically, and actually create that ROI for your game. In other words, getting paid for your game, getting paid for your game, getting seen from your game, making sure the world benefits from your game. What you need to do is go to workonyourgameuniversity.com, choose a level, and join us so we can get that game out into the world where it's supposed to be, not dying inside of you. Work on your game. Dre all day.